Welcome to the series Employee Health Services, Mind, Body, and Spirit. Employee Health is a section in the City of Albuquerque's Risk Management Division. Its mission is to promote a sense of community and increase wellness among city employees and their families by providing education and counseling about physical and mental health. And now, Mind, Body, and Spirit with Dr. Julia Bain. Hello, welcome. My name is Dr. Julia Bain, and this is Mind, Body, and Spirit. And today, I have the honor of interviewing J.D. Maes, who is the Wellness Coordinator for the Albuquerque Academy, Albuquerque Police Department. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Julia. It's good to be here.
It's so good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
And I am looking forward to hearing more about what kind of physical conditioning is required to become a police officer? What do you need to do? What do you need to think about if you're interested in working for the police department? So this is going to be wonderful.
Absolutely.
All right, glasses on. Oh, well, just basically start us off by, telling the audience how long you've worked for the police department, what you do there, your mission, and, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Great. Well, I have an excellent job. I work for the police department, like you said. I've been there 6 years now, and I'm the wellness coordinator. And so it's really a privilege to be able to help the cadets in the academy with fitness and anything health related. If they're having issues with their diet or if they're having injuries that we need to fix or injuries that we need to prevent, I get to help them with that as well. I also work with incumbent officers who may have issues with wanting to be on a better diet, wanting to be on a fitness program, or any type of health improvement type plan. So it's a great job. It's a labor of love, really, and I enjoy it.
Excellent. I know you have a bachelor's degree in nutrition.
Yes, correct.
And a master's degree in?
Exercise science.
How perfectly qualified are you?
Well, I think so.
So, in order to be a police officer, you have to be strong and fit. And I want you to talk a little bit about why. I mean, it's obvious that, if you're going to be a police officer, you're here to protect and serve, and we appreciate you so much. Thank you, Albuquerque Police. Why, what are some of the things, though, in terms of the job and the essential functions of the job of being a police officer, of why it is so important to be fit and well?
Excellent. Good question. Fitness is actually woven into the fabric of what a police officer does. It has a few different purposes. First of all, the physical job that they do, fitness ties right into that. I like to tell our cadets and even our officers to think of themselves as an athlete, as a professional athlete, really.
Okay.
The city is paying them, our taxpayers are paying them to do physical tasks, physical work. And so the better they're able to perform physically in their job tasks, the better everything will be. The safer our city will be, the better outcomes they'll have on their calls. And so fitness ties right into job performance. It ties into injury prevention as well. Any type of physical job, you're going to be at more risk for physical problems. And so the fitter you are in terms of strength, flexibility, and cardiorespiratory endurance, the lower risk you're going to have. The other part of fitness is physiologic health. Police work can actually be risky in terms of health risks. Things like diabetes, heart disease, cancer, even mental illness down the road if you don't manage stress right. And so physical fitness and exercise is a great way to relieve stress, a great way to relieve the risk factors for the illnesses that society is prone towards, but also that police officers are prone towards as well. Diabetes and heart disease being some of the bigger ones there.
That makes perfect sense. Plus, police, sometimes you have to chase people.
Exactly. Foot chases. That's right.
Foot chases. And do you train for that?
Absolutely. We do a lot of running in the academy. And so it's 6 months of training. We start them off slow, just slow 2-mile runs. And then we introduce track work where we teach them to run as fast as they can for different intervals. Sometimes it's 100-meter sprints, 300-meter sprints, even up to 800-meter sprints to get them used to running, to strengthen those muscles for them to get out on the streets because we know that they're more than likely going to have to use that skill. So the academy is a great training ground for being able to exert yourself and knowing what that's like.
Yeah, and I think it's great that you make the analogy that a police officer is like an athlete, because it is a matter of life and death.
That's right.
Protecting and serving our community. And so to be in top shape, top conditioning, can potentially save your life.
Exactly. That's right.
You have a wonderful website.
Thank you.
The police department has an excellent website. If you haven't checked it out, check out the Albuquerque Academy website. But I noticed, speaking of running, it says there is a new time requirement for the 1.5 mile assessment, and it's gone from the 1.5 mile run has to be at or under 15 minutes and 14 seconds, which is a 40-second difference between what it used to be.
Exactly.
Can you tell us why that is?
Absolutely. So the New Mexico Department of Public Safety actually sets the standards. They set the regulations for testing and entrance into the police academy. And so just about a year ago, we had what's called an altitude adjustment. Our state is very diverse in many ways. Altitude is one of those ways. Santa Fe is where the capital is, and they're actually higher altitude than we are. And so technically speaking, if you're at a lower altitude, you can run faster. And so we went from being 15 minutes, 54 seconds, having our cutoff there, to now being 15 minutes, 14 seconds. So now our officers are faster, or they have to test faster than they used to be.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. If someone wants to be a police officer, and they're not sure, they should even apply because they're not in that good of a shape right now, what advice can you give people watching the program who think, I would love to be a police officer, but I think I'm really out of shape? What advice can you give them to get into that shape so that when they, apply, they're a little bit more ready?
Great question. The biggest advice that I have now is to change the lifestyles. Our lives change when our habits change. And so if somebody's not used to exercising now, I recommend getting out there at least one day a week, if that's all you have time for, and slowly build on that. Go from 1 day a week to 2 days a week. Build up to 3 or 4 days of doing something, whether it's doing a slow walk, progressing to a jog, progressing to a run after that, or even going to the gym and getting on a bike or an elliptical or a swimming pool to build up cardiovascular endurance. So if someone's just getting off the couch and it's been a while since they've exercised, that would be the way to go. And if you have more time than 1 day a week, go 3 days a week, 20 minutes a day. And it doesn't have to be strenuous. You don't have to exercise, 2 times a day to get in shape. It'll build over time. They'll start to notice within 6 to 8 weeks, things will get a whole lot easier for them. When they're comfortable with aerobic endurance, then it's time to start running. Like you mentioned, we have the 1.5 mile test. So they want to get a good pair of running shoes, a pair that fits them really good, and then go out and time themselves, see where they're at. They might be surprised with the previous work that they've done that they're actually at our standards.
Okay, well, that's encouraging.
Absolutely.
How many sit-ups and how quickly?
So we do 1-minute intervals. To test into the academy right now, they have to do 25 sit-ups, correctly performed in a minute.
Is that knees up or knees down?
Yes, knees up. When they come down, their back has to be completely flat on the mat.
Okay.
And they've got to come all the way up to where the elbows touch the knees.
Like this? Hands by the ears?
Hands behind the head.
Behind the head?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I've heard that it's not good to pull on your neck when you're doing a sit-up. So are you just supposed to lightly touch the back of your head?
We give them the instruction not to pull. And
Okay.
so all the action should come from the core area, the abdominal muscles. And so the head should be in a neutral position without pulling on the head. So therefore, all the action would have to come from the core.
Gotcha. I've been working on my core by doing planks,
Great.
strengthening my obliques because I had a little back problem. And I'm telling you what, that is not for the faint of heart.
That's right. That's right.
Doing planks are, where you're just holding yourself up like that and just moving, that is tough. That's not easy to do. Push-ups. How many?
15. We used to have a higher requirement for push-ups, and just a couple years ago as well, the New Mexico Department of Public Safety lowered that standard. And so now it's 15 push-ups to test in, and by the time they finish the academy, they have to do 25.
In how long?
1 minute.
And that's just regular push-up, where you're just in a kind of a plank position and, just regular push-up.
Exactly.
Nothing
Arms.
fancy.
No, nothing fancy. Arms shoulder width apart. They do have to go down low enough. Usually they'll have a spotter that puts their fist out The chest, top of the chest has to touch the fist, and then they have to fully extend when they come up, which means elbows straight. That would constitute a proper push-up.
Okay, so chest to like a fist. It's not like nose to the floor.
No, no.
Okay. Nice. Nice. I'm telling you, I'm feeling stronger already.
You're getting fit by osmosis.
Yes. Well, like I told you before the show, I love lifting weights. To me, that's easy. But getting on that elliptical, to me, that is really working out.
Okay, okay, good.
So I need to force myself to leave the weight room. And I work out at the police gym.
Great, excellent.
And to leave that weight room and force myself to get on that elliptical and, or even the rowing machine, but just something to get myself where I'm breathing much harder.
Great, great. Cardiovascular exercise truly is like medicine. That's the one that's going to lower your risk for the things like diabetes, heart disease, low blood pressure, abnormal cholesterol, and the list goes on. So you truly are doing your body a lot of good with that.
Nice. Food. Let's talk about food.
All right.
Everybody loves food. Like I told you before we started the show, and you told me your 80-20 rule, and I thought, wow, that makes sense, because when I go to work, I eat fruits and vegetables and yogurt and nuts and whole grain bars and drink water all day long. And then when I get home, if I want chips and guac, or I want a ribeye steak, or I want, I can do it.
Great.
Because I have been really watching what I put in my mouth all day long. And you told me that I was doing really well, and I appreciate that.
Sure thing.
What kind of nutritional counseling do you give to officers or people who want to become police officers?
So it really is specific to every person, because everyone has different eating patterns, and so I really try to interview them and see where they're at. Ask them what they're eating, what a typical week looks like, and if there's holes in their diet, meaning maybe they're lacking certain nutrients. Calcium is usually a big one. Iron is usually a big one. Too much protein sometimes. Supplements are big business these days, and people tend to have too much protein. So I really like to get a feel for what they're doing and what their diet looks like, and then I just encourage a few general principles. And so eat natural as you can. We don't actually, here in America, get enough fruits and vegetables, and so the common recommendation on that is at least 5 servings, which is low. I mean, I think we could probably do better than that.
Yeah, Cancer Society, 5 to 13.
That's right. That's right. And the Cancer Society says that the more you do, the lower your risk for cancer is. And so, I mean, the research is actually overwhelmingly positive in that regard. And so increasing fruits and vegetable intake, and then eat a variety of fruits and vegetables. A lot of times I'll tell people to eat a variety of food, and they think that means like McDonald's one day, Wendy's the next day, and Burger King the next. But that's not what I mean by variety. So by variety, I mean different fruits and different vegetables every week. Because again, if you do the same fruits and veggies, you're still going to miss out on some nutrients. And so making your diet as colorful as possible week in and week out is really going to go a long ways towards keeping you healthy, keeping your immune system strong so you don't get sick during cold and flu season, and then your mental performance. Our cadets in the academy are learning all day long. They're being tested. They're given a lot of information that they need to retain. Like you said, it could be life and death, so we want their mental focus sharp. And then, of course, physically, they're very physically active. So getting the vitamins, getting the minerals they need. And then the other part is the 80-20 rule. It would be very hard to eat a perfect diet 100% of the time. There's a few people that can do it, but it's not realistic for most of us. And so I recommend if you can eat healthy 80% of the time, allow yourself a little wiggle room with indulgences, sweets and whatnot, 20% of the time, I think you'd be doing all right.
That's excellent advice.
Thank you.
Excellent. Is there a weight? Do you have to be a certain weight to be a police officer? I mean, is there like a high and a low? Like you can't weigh too low or too high?
We actually don't. Believe it or not, there's no weight requirement. There's no height requirement. Our standards are as long as you can complete the tasks that we're asking you to do, which is doing our physical test, the 1-minute push-up, the 1-minute sit-up, the 1.5 miles and the 300-meter sprint. If you can pass those at the state standards, and then of course complete all the tasks during the academy, then you're good to go.
Nice. And guess what? You don't have to do a chin-up.
This is true. This is true.
It's true. Those are so hard.
They are hard. That's right.
Fire department, that's a different show. Huh, JD?
That's right.
So, what exercises do you recommend to develop strength, stamina, agility, and balance? I'm always working on my balance, and a lot of that is core. But what advice do you give to people who want to be a police officer? How can they? You talked about running. Obviously, do some sit-ups, do some push-ups. Anything that we're missing?
As well as they can get into a good, well-rounded program where they hit every body part. A lot of times people tend to neglect certain muscle groups such as their back or their lower legs in favor of more popular muscle groups like working chest and legs, and you can develop muscle imbalances there. And so I totally recommend at least twice a week to hit every muscle part. That way you're not developing imbalances, and that way your strength is equal. If you do that over time, it can cause real trouble with your posture. Your spine can come out of alignment and things of that nature. So my first advice for that is to make sure it's a well-rounded total body program.
Wow, that is good advice, and that will help your balance.
It will. It will. So it all kind of is cumulative. There's even certain stretches you can do to work on balance. But once you start developing strength with every muscle group, and then you start running, especially running on different surfaces, that actually goes a long way towards developing balance.
I didn't realize that. Well, I need to start running. Absolutely. Start running around every day. We were talking about physically challenging components to being a police officer. Sometimes, you have to stand for hours to be a police officer. Guarding an area or securing a perimeter, that takes a lot of strength. Just standing there at the ready, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Standing alone, believe it or not, can cause injuries. Being in those shoes all day and on your feet can lead to wear and tear. It can lead to strains in your ligaments, in your lower body as well. So that's where strength training comes into play there. And it's also where sprinting comes into play, or running, because running strengthens those muscles. The other part of that is if you do have to stand, you're moving around a lot, you're going to want cardiovascular endurance. It would not be good if you didn't have cardiovascular training and then had to stand all day. It's going to get tiring pretty quick. And so strength, agility, balance, and cardiovascular training actually all work together a lot of times in different ways.
Yeah, if you want to be a police officer, you need to be an athlete.
That's right.
And, I told you how sometimes I sing on my show. I could not think of a single song about the police. And then somebody here said, well, what about that song that the police sang? Don't stand so close to me, right?
That's right. That's right.
And police actually do have to have quite a body awareness around them because, wherever they go, because they don't want somebody like grabbing their gun or something.
That's right.
Or tell me, can you just run through a typical day at the academy for me? Because one thing I've often thought about is how do police protect somebody from just grabbing their gun? So can you talk about that? Because I think that'd be fun.
Sure, absolutely. So within 6 months of training, the days kind of change from day to day. But typically they'll come in the morning. They're there at 6 a.m. We start our physical training by 6:30.
What time do you start work?
I go in at 5:30.
You are my champion. You are my champion.
Thank you.
Wow. That's awesome.
I'm a morning person.
Well, it's a fit.
Thank you.
It's a fit. Good.
So typical training day is we'll start with our physical training. It may be a 3-mile run. It may be a track workout where we do a lot of sprints, or it may be a strength workout, or a combination of all of those. It really depends on where they're at with their training and how they're progressing through the program. But we do at least a good hour, sometimes up to an hour and a half of physical training. Then the cadets will get...
start.
Exactly.
At 6 o'clock.
6:30.
Do you provide like juice or milk, or people bring their own food?
We instruct them to bring their own. Yes, we teach them about nutrition at the very beginning of the academy.
Okay.
We tell them all the healthy foods to eat. We recommend what times a day to eat to kind of match their energy expenditures. And so it's pretty much on them to pack their own lunch, to pack their own snacks, and they actually do a really good job of it.
Is it just as an aside real quickly, I've read that you should not eat before you work out, or it's important to eat protein after you work out. Is there any truth to that?
Yes, so scientifically speaking, the recommendation is to wait at least 45 minutes before you exercise. And so everyone's different, obviously. Some of us can tolerate greater amounts of food, but they recommend get a good source of carbohydrate, at least 20 grams of protein, and a little bit of a healthy fat. So it could be something like a half of a breakfast burrito or a sandwich, something like that before you work out. But you don't want to eat too soon because then you're uncomfortable. And so the recommendation for all that food to get absorbed is at least 45 minutes.
Okay.
An hour would even be better.
Okay.
And on the flip side of that, it's good to eat after you work out to start the recovery process. If you can get the nutrients in as quickly as possible, really. I mean, right after you work out, that'd be great. You know, we tell our cadets, get your snack as soon as you can. They're busy, but we tell them to get their snack as soon as they can after exercise. That way their body can start the recovery process. Their muscles, their tendons, their joints will start getting stronger quicker, and their fitness level improves.
Is that right? So your body really does use that fuel immediately.
It does. It pulls from a combination of sources. We all have muscle stored, carbohydrates stored in our muscles.
Okay.
We call that glycogen. But when that gets low after a workout, we want to replenish it. And so the recovery snack is really to replenish what we lost. We also tell them to have a good dinner, carbohydrates in their dinner. That way they put the glycogen in their muscles as well for the next day's workout. So the body's a complex organism. Takes energy in many different ways, many different sources. But to optimally perform, we recommend that they eat 5 to 6 meals a day, or 3 meals and 2 snacks.
And how many calories is required when you're in this kind of fitness training?
That varies by day as well. So for instance, a busy day for cadets would be one where we have physical training in the morning, maybe a 3-mile run, and then they're on their feet all day doing defensive tactics training. So you talked about don't stand so close to me.
Yeah.
While they're learning their defensive tactics, it's very strenuous. And so they're actually practicing how to fall. They're practicing how to put handcuffs on. They're practicing how to stand in certain situations, and they're on their feet all day. So that would be a day where I recommend actually having a lot of calories. Typically about 1,000 calories more than they would on a day where they're just sitting in the classroom. And so I really teach them, if they can learn, to match their energy intake with their output. And they know the schedule before the day. So if they know it's a busy day, they know to bring more snacks. You know, or if they know it's a classroom day, they know to eat appropriately.
How do you teach people how to fall? And why isn't everybody taught how to fall? That's, I mean, it seems really important that we should all know how to fall.
You're right. Falling can come natural for some of us, especially when we're not as coordinated. But we have expert instructors who are actually professionals in teaching defensive tactics. And I'm not actually an expert in that, but our instructors do a great job in showing them the safe ways to do it. A lot of times if you fall wrong, you can hurt your wrist, you can hurt your face if you don't break
Your
the fall.
hip,
That's right.
your knee.
That's right. So there's actually what they call front falls, and there's what they call back falls. And that's the first day of training, is they teach them how to fall. And it's on a mat, thankfully, a very cushy mat, which is lucky for us, so they don't get injured in doing it. But there's actually a science behind falling. There really is.
Wow. I think they should teach that to us in grade school.
I agree. It could save us a lot of injuries.
I know. And then they also teach, as part of that tactical training, they teach officers, like if somebody lunges towards their gun, what to do.
Absolutely. They call that situational awareness, and throughout the academy they actually teach that, whether it's an official class or situationally when we're out on a run. The instructors do a great job of drilling into them safety, gun safety, personal safety, not only for themselves but their coworkers and the civilians that are out there just doing their daily duties. And so situational awareness is a big thing, very big thing.
Get ready to be ready.
That's right.
Right? Expect anything. Anything at any time.
That's right.
Wow. When I talk to our new employees at New Employee Orientation, and I'm talking about violence prevention, I suggest when you come to work, be like a cat. Pretend you're a cat and have your ears up and your whiskers out, and be alert. Be alert of your surroundings, because unfortunately, sometimes, we run into stranger danger.
That's right.
You know, we were taught about that when we were kids, but you know, it doesn't matter how old you are, stranger danger is still danger stranger. I learned danger stranger. Now it's stranger danger. Whatever, you get the point. To just be aware that not everybody is going to be kind.
That's right. That's right. And I think if we were to educate the general public about that, we could probably prevent a lot of crimes.
Yeah, no kidding. Do you still have the women's class that you all teach? Self-defense?
We do actually. Lieutenant Hoffman teaches that fairly regularly. And I understand that if people are interested, they can go online, do a search on the city's website, cabq.gov,
Okay.
And they can find it there. And I believe she's always taking sign-ups.
Yeah, her reputation for that class, I've always wanted to take it. For some reason, Monday evenings has never worked out for me because I've been in Sweet Adeline's choir, or I've been, you know, facilitating a group at church or whatever. You know, Monday nights just have never worked out for me, so I've never been able to take her class. But I've heard wonderful things about it.
Absolutely. It's a great resource for the community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we have about, I don't know, 4 minutes.
Okay.
Give or take. So, and I kind of interrupted you. We got like halfway through a typical day with you. Could you finish up that day for us to let us have a clear picture of what a day is like?
Absolutely. So after working out, the cadets will get ready for the day. They'll get their uniforms on. They'll go through a uniform inspection to make sure the uniform is good, that it fits right, that it's not wrinkled, that the shoes are shined. And then they'll start their classroom portion. And so this week they're actually doing what's called law block, learning all about legal procedures, learning about the court system, learning about how officers function in that role. Classroom goes from about 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Then they get a lunch break, which I always tell the cadets, you know you're going to get a lunch break every single day, so bring a good lunch, you know. Make sure you refuel. But lunch break's about half an hour, maybe sometimes longer, and then they'll start their instruction again for whatever is scheduled. And so it could be law block, it could be emergency vehicle operations training, firearms. There's a whole curriculum of courses that they take. So it's kind of different every day. Some days they're in the classroom, some days they're off-site. It's pretty different.
Is it kind of like someone who's training to be a physician, where you get different rotations to see what different specialties you might be interested in, whether that be forensics or, and I'm not an expert on all, why don't you tell us the different fields an officer could go into? Do they have a chance to visit what those are like?
They do, absolutely. With only 6 months to teach the academy, they don't have time to hit everything, but they get the general ones. And so we make the goal, or the instructors make the goal, to make sure that they're ready to function as a field officer. And so everything that a field officer needs to learn, they'll get to see those specialized units. And so they'll talk with homicide, they'll talk with the criminalistics, they'll talk with the crime lab, they'll talk with detectives from different units that they work closely with, get to see how the specialized units work in case they need to work together with them. And so they probably get about 90% of all the units that we offer, but probably not all of them until they advance in the field.
What a wonderful career.
It is.
What a wonderful career. We have 1 minute final words of wisdom for the audience.
All right, so the biggest piece of wisdom I have is to build discipline into your lifestyle. As humans, we can tend to do what's comfortable, to do what's easy, which means not exercising, and which means eating foods that may taste good but not be good for us. And so disciplining yourself to be uncomfortable once in a while with exercise. And if you don't like to do cardio exercise, then add that as part of your discipline. And if you don't like to eat healthy, then maybe 2 or 3 meals a week where you actually eat healthy. And so incorporating discipline helps us with our lifestyle, which in turn helps us with our careers.
Step by step.
That's right.
Step by step. That's how we improve, change, and grow. You're wonderful.
Thank you, Julia. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming. I think you're amazing, and I think the Academy is just probably one of the finest in the country.
I agree. I absolutely agree with that.
Well, and you would know because you're there every day.
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you all for watching. This is Dr. Julia Bain. Until next time, be happy and be well.
This has been Employee Health Services Mind, Body, and Spirit. For more information, call the City of Albuquerque's Employee Health Services at 768-4613. Let the Employee Health Services staff let you be your best at work, at home, and at play.